Language Foundations Vocabulary Flashcards, helping you achieve understanding.
Paper used for writing or printing. A large piece of fabric, usually canvas fabric, by means of which wind is used to propel a sailing vessel. Bed linen consisting of a large rectangular piece of cotton or linen cloth, used in pairs. Nautical. A line, rope or chain, that regulates the angle at which a sail is set in relation to the wind. A flat artifact that is thin relative to its length and width. Mathematics. An unbounded two-dimensional shape. Newspaper with half-size pages. Any broad thin expanse or surface. A sheet of ice. Come down as if in sheets. The rain was sheeting down during the monsoon. Cover with a sheet, as if by wrapping. Sheet the body. Paper used for writing or printing. Paper used for writing or printing. A large piece of fabric, usually canvas fabric, by means of which wind is used to propel a sailing vessel. A tent made of canvas fabric. A heavy, closely woven fabric, used for clothing or chairs or sails or tents. An oil painting on canvas fabric. The setting for a narrative or fictional or dramatic account. The crowded canvas of history. The mat that forms the floor of the ring in which boxers or professional wrestlers compete. The boxer picked himself up off the canvas. Cover with canvas. She canvassed the walls of her living room so as to conceal the ugly cracks. A large piece of fabric, usually canvas fabric, by means of which wind is used to propel a sailing vessel. A heavy, closely woven fabric, used for clothing or chairs or sails or tents. A tent made of canvas fabric. An oil painting on canvas fabric. An inquiry into public opinion conducted by interviewing a random sample of people. The setting for a narrative or fictional or dramatic account. The mat that forms the floor of the ring in which boxers or professional wrestlers compete. Consider in detail and subject to an analysis in order to discover essential features or meaning. Get the opinions of people by asking specific questions. Solicit votes from potential voters in an electoral campaign. Move with sweeping, effortless, gliding motions. Shreds of paper sailed through the air. An ocean trip taken for pleasure. A large piece of fabric, usually canvas fabric, by means of which wind is used to propel a sailing vessel. Travel on water propelled by wind or by other means. The QE2 will sail to Southampton tomorrow. Any structure that resembles a sail. Travel on water propelled by wind. I love sailing, especially on the open sea. Traverse or travel on a body of water. We sailed the Atlantic. Bed linen consisting of a large rectangular piece of cotton or linen cloth, used in pairs. Nautical. A line, rope or chain, that regulates the angle at which a sail is set in relation to the wind. Nautical. A line, rope or chain, that regulates the angle at which a sail is set in relation to the wind. Cover as if with a shroud. The origins of this civilization are shrouded in mystery. Burial garment in which a corpse is wrapped. A line that suspends the harness from the canopy of a parachute. Form a cover like a shroud. Mist shrouded the castle. Wrap in a shroud. Shroud the corpses. Gear for a horse. Reverse, a direction, attitude, or course of action. Turn into the wind. The sailors decided to tack the boat. Nautical, a line, rope or chain, that regulates the angle at which a sail is set in relation to the wind. Nautical, the act of changing tack. Create by putting components or members together. He tacked together some verses. Sew together loosely, with large stitches. Fix to. Attach. A short nail with a sharp point and a large head. Fasten with tacks. Tack the notice on the board. Sailing a zigzag course. The heading or position of a vessel relative to the trim of its sails. Nautical, a line, rope or chain, that regulates the angle at which a sail is set in relation to the wind. A flat artifact that is thin relative to its length and width. A power tool for smoothing or shaping wood. An aircraft that has a fixed wing and is powered by propellers or jets. The flight was delayed due to trouble with the airplane. A carpenter's hand tool with an adjustable blade for smoothing or shaping wood. The cabinetmaker used a plane for the finish work. Travel on the surface of water. Mathematics, an unbounded two-dimensional shape. We will refer to the plane of the graph as the xy plane. Having a surface without slope, tilt in which no part is higher or lower than another. A plane surface. Cut or remove with or as if with a plane. A level of existence or development. He lived on a worldly plane. Make even or smooth, with or as with a carpenter's plane. Plane the top of the door. Treat cruelly. A week at British universities during which side shows and processions of floats are organized to raise money for charities. Censure severely or angrily. The deputy ragged the prime minister. Harass with persistent criticism or carping. Newspaper with half-size pages. Music with a syncopated melody, usually for the piano. A small piece of cloth or paper. Cause annoyance in. Disturb, especially by minor irritations. A boisterous practical joke, especially by college students. Break into lumps before sorting. Rag or. Play in ragtime. Rag that old tune. Sensationalist journalism. Newspaper with half-size pages. The physical object that is the product of a newspaper publisher. When it began to rain, he covered his head with a newspaper. An essay, especially one written as an assignment. A daily or weekly publication on folded sheets, contains news and articles and advertisements. He read his newspaper at breakfast. Cover with wallpaper. A business firm that publishes newspapers. Murdoch owns many newspapers. A material made of cellulose pulp derived mainly from wood or rags or certain grasses. A medium for written communication. The notion of an office running without paper is absurd. A scholarly article describing the results of observations or stating hypotheses. He has written many scientific papers. Cover with paper. Paper the box. A separate part consisting of fabric. A separate part consisting of fabric. Linen or cotton articles for a bed, as sheets and pillowcases. A course of reasoning aimed at demonstrating a truth or falsehood. The methodical process of logical reasoning. I can't follow your line of reasoning. A slight depression or fold in the smoothness of a surface. His face has many lines. Mechanical system in a factory whereby an article is conveyed through sites at which successive operations are performed on it. A connected series of events or actions or developments. Historians can only point out those lines for which evidence is available. The road consisting of railroad track and roadbed. A conceptual separation or distinction. There is a narrow line between sanity and insanity. A succession of notes forming a distinctive sequence. A conductor for transmitting electrical or optical signals or electric power. The principal activity in your life that you do to earn money. He's not in my line of business. Make a mark or lines on a surface. Draw a line. Often plural, a means of communication or access. Lines of communication were set up between the two firms. The descendants of one individual. His entire lineage has been warriors. Space for one line of print, 1 column wide and 1/14 inch deep, used to measure advertising. A short personal letter. Drop me a line when you get there. A telephone connection. Be in line with, form a line along. Trees line the riverbank. The maximum credit that a customer is allowed. A particular kind of product or merchandise. A nice line of shoes. A pipe used to transport liquids or gases. A pipeline runs from the wells to the seaport. A commercial organization serving as a common carrier. Acting in conformity. In line with. A formation of people or things one behind another. The line stretched clear around the corner. A formation of people or things one beside another. The line of soldiers advanced with their bayonets fixed. A fortified position, especially one marking the most forward position of troops. They attacked the enemy's line. A length, straight or curved, without breadth or thickness, the trace of a moving point. A mark that is long relative to its width. He drew a line on the chart. A single frequency, or very narrow band, of radiation in a spectrum. A spatial location defined by a real or imaginary unidimensional extent. Cover the interior of. Line the gloves. Fill plentifully. Line one's pockets. In games or sports, a mark indicating positions or bounds of the playing area. Mark with lines. Sorrow had lined his face. Persuasive but insincere talk that is usually intended to deceive or impress. Let me show you my etchings as a rather worn line. Reinforce with fabric. Lined books are more enduring. Something, as a cord or rope, that is long and thin and flexible. A washing line. Text consisting of a row of words written across a page or computer screen. The letter consisted of 3 short lines. A man-made object taken as a whole. A man-made object taken as a whole. The visual appearance of something or someone. A perceptual structure. The composition presents problems for students of musical form. The phonological or orthographic sound or appearance of a word that can be used to describe or identify something. The inflected forms of a word can be represented by a stem in a list of inflections to be attached. Make something, usually for a specific function. Any spatial attributes, especially as defined by outline. Establish or impress firmly in the mind. A body of students who are taught together. Create, as an entity. Social groups form everywhere. Biology. A group of organisms within a species that differ in trivial ways from similar groups. A category of things distinguished by some common characteristic or quality. Sculpture is a form of art. A life-size dummy used to display clothes. Develop into a distinctive entity. Alternative names for the body of a human being. The spatial arrangement of something is distinct from its substance. To compose or represent. This wall forms the background of the stage setting. Give shape or form to. Form the young child's character. Physical chemistry. A distinct state of matter in a system. Matter that is identical in chemical composition and physical state and separated from other material by the phase boundary. A mold for setting concrete. They built elaborate forms for pouring the foundation. An ability to perform well. He was at the top of his form. An arrangement of the elements in a composition or discourse. The essay was in the form of a dialogue. A particular mode in which something is manifested. His resentment took the form of extreme hostility. A printed document with spaces in which to write. He filled out his tax form. Assume a form or shape. The water formed little beads. The visual appearance of something or someone. A perceptual structure. Make something, usually for a specific function. Shape a figure. A concrete representation of an otherwise nebulous concept. Any spatial attributes, especially as defined by outline. He could barely make out their shapes. The state of good health, especially in the phrases in condition, or in shape, or out of condition, or out of shape. Shape or influence. Give direction to. Alternative names for the body of a human being. The spatial arrangement of something is distinct from its substance. Geometry is the mathematical science of shape. The supreme headquarters that advises NATO on military matters and oversees all aspects of the Allied Command Europe. Give shape or form to. Shape the dough. The physical object that is the product of a newspaper publisher. When it began to rain, he covered his head with a newspaper. Cheap paper made from wood pulp and used for printing newspapers. They used bales of newspaper every day. A daily or weekly publication on folded sheets. Contains news and articles and advertisements. He read his newspaper at breakfast. A business firm that publishes newspapers. Murdoch owns many newspapers. The extent of a two-dimensional surface enclosed within a boundary. A wide scope. A wide and open space or area as of surface or land or sky. Attack and bombard with or as if with missiles. Pelt the speaker with questions. The dressed hairy coat of a mammal. Rain heavily. Body covering of a living animal. Cast, hurl, or throw repeatedly with some missile. They pelted each other with snowballs. Pour out. Rain heavily. Put on your raincoat, it's pouring outside. Move in large numbers. People were pouring out of the theater. Cause to run. Pour water over the floor. Flow in a spurt. Water poured all over the floor. Supply in large amounts or quantities. We poured money into the education of our children. Rain heavily. Rain heavily. Something that resembles a flowing stream in moving continuously. A stream of people emptied from the terminal. A steady flow of a fluid, usually from natural causes. The raft floated downstream on the current. Rain heavily. Flow freely and abundantly. Tears streamed down her face. Dominant course, suggestive of running water, of successive events or ideas. Two streams of development run through American history. Move in large numbers. The act of flowing or streaming, continuous progression. A natural body of running water flowing on or under the earth. Exude profusely. She was streaming with sweat. To extend, wave or float outward, as if in the wind. Their manes streamed like stiff black pennants in the wind.
Become our student and get access to effective and free educational materials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to become a part of our growing YouTube community and to learn English effectively.